let's talk about something most of us just do without even thinking about it: being nice. But what if that constant need to be agreeable, that drive to make sure everyone else is happy, what if it's actually doing some serious damage? Let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? You bend over backwards for everybody, you say yes when you're already completely swamped, and you're always the one keeping the peace. But at the end of the day, you just feel totally exhausted and kind of unseen. If that hits home for you, you are definitely not alone. And it turns out, there's a really deep psychological reason you feel so invisible. So that brings us to our first section, the people-pleasing trap. This is where we start to reframe this idea of niceness. Maybe it's not just a virtue. Maybe it's a trap that so many of us have been taught to walk right into. Now, this can be a tough pill to swallow, but it's so important. What if that impulse to be nice isn't really about kindness at all? What if it's actually a defense mechanism? A mask you put on because deep down you're just terrified of rocking the boat, of getting rejected, or of having to deal with any kind of conflict. And you know, this idea gets a lot of its power from the work of the brilliant psychologist Carl Jung. The big takeaway here is that this constant performance, this act of being nice, it's not just making you tired, it's actively hurting who you really are on the inside. So, this mask, how do we even begin to understand it? Well, Jung actually gave it a name that helps us diagnose what's really going on. He called it the persona. The persona isn't some strange or bad thing. It's a totally normal part of being a person. It's the polished version of ourselves that we show the world, at our job, with our friends, even with our family sometimes. It's the tool we use to fit in, to feel accepted, and to make sure everyone sees us as a good person. So what does this actually look like, day to day? Well, it's telling someone, oh, it's okay, when really you're fuming inside. It's that feeling that you have to reply to that text right now so nobody gets upset. It's when you find yourself over-explaining your choices, almost like you have to justify your own existence to people. Sound familiar? But here's the catch. Relying on this mask all the time, well, it comes with a seriously high price. Let's break down the real, hidden costs of always being the nice one. Look at this direct trade-off here. The whole goal of the persona is to get you accepted, but the cost is that you end up abandoning your true self. You're trying to keep the peace on the outside, but you do it by completely suppressing your own needs. You appear agreeable, sure, but the price you pay is losing your own authentic voice. I mean, let's just be blunt about it. Constantly putting everyone else's needs, their feelings, their demands, ahead of your own, it's not noble. It's a form of self-abandonment. You're basically making yourself disappear from your own life just to be a background character in someone else's. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. People-pleasers tend to treat their vital energy, their time, their focus, their emotions, like it's this bottomless well they can draw from forever. But it's not. It's a finite resource, like a battery. And when you give it all away, you're left with nothing for yourself. You're just drained.
Okay, so this brings up a huge question. If you're constantly pushing down your real feelings, your boundaries, your needs, where does all that stuff go? Because it doesn't just disappear.
I mean, really think about it for a second. All that frustration, all the times you wanted to say no, all of that personal power you didn't stand up for, it has to be stored somewhere. And it turns out Jung had a name for that place too.
Welcome to the shadow. Now, don't let the name fool you. This isn't some evil, monstrous part of you. It's simply the box where you've put everything you've disowned about yourself in order to be nice and acceptable. And this is the most important part. It's where your real strength, your assertiveness, and your ability to handle conflict are all locked away.
So here's the crucial link. Every single time you let a boundary slide or say yes when you really mean no, you are actively shoving your own power into your unconscious shadow. That's why you feel so drained and powerless. Your strength is literally locked away where you can't get to it. All right, so what do we do about all this? What's the way out? Well, it's not about learning to be mean or selfish. It's about a huge shift in your entire goal, from trying to be good to trying to be whole. So the goal shifts, right? You stop trying to be good and you start trying to be whole. You stop focusing on being liked and start focusing on being authentic. And you stop avoiding conflict at all costs, and you start learning how to integrate the power you've been hiding in your shadow. The path forward is really a process of integration. It's pretty straightforward. First, you just have to acknowledge the mask you're wearing, your persona. See it for what it is. Then you start the work of exploring your shadow and reclaiming the power you've stored there. And finally, you bring them both together so you can show up as a whole, authentic person. And this is so key. We're not trying to kill the nice you. Your ability to be kind and to cooperate is an amazing, valuable thing. The goal is to balance it with your ability to set boundaries and to stand your ground. It's about having both tools in your toolbox so you can be both kind and strong. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Who could you become? What could you accomplish? What kind of life could you build if you weren't so afraid of conflict and you stopped giving all your power away just to be nice? Thanks for joining this explainer.